You know what really grinds my gears?
When people keep dismissing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition as a simple remaster when, by every conceivable metric, it is in fact a remake. Let's talk about that. We used to have pretty clear-cut rules about what constituted a remaster and what constituted a remake, until, you know, this game came along and ruined the term for seemingly the entire industry. The Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't really a remake, it's a reboot. It takes a broad story outline from the original, but almost everything is completely new and different. The dialogue is different, the story and gameplay structure are different, the gameplay itself is entirely different, and so on and so forth. Now I know some of you have already typed out a comment below saying, duh, the Japanese Xenoblade Twitter account said it was a remaster. No, actually. A correct translation of that one tweet is a non-committal. You could call it like a remastered version, and remastered is even in quotation marks like frickin' Dr. Evil. Why did they say this? Oh, I don't know, because we're right in the middle of Final Fantasy VII Remake marketing that has totally destroyed what the general public expect from a remake? For the past however many years, the difference between a remaster and a remake came down to the development process. Are you using the same engine and the same source code but pumping up the resolution and updating the textures? Then you've got a remaster. Or are you building the game in a new engine with a lot of new assets, with or without the source code to work from or adapt? That's what we call a remake. To give you an idea of just how much Final Fantasy VII Remake has affected the word remake, just look at what the developers of the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane trilogy refer to it as. They call it a Remaster Plus. The lead level designer said, the standard remaster approach of moving geometry over and raising the resolution of textures would not be the right course for such an iconic character. The devs at Vicarious Visions didn't even have the source code for the original Crash games. Not that that would have been much help if they did have it, but this meant they had to remake absolutely everything from scratch. It involved first meticulously recreating a single level and then tweaking every parameter of the new engine until they got the exact same physics, mechanics, and feel as the original, and they still can't even bring themselves to call it a remake. Stop selling yourself short, what you've created there is a remake, or at least it is what everybody used to understand a remake was. Now let's look at what we've seen so far from just a single trailer for the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition project that was and still is in development. The biggest and most obvious change is the new character models. The models aren't upgraded or up-resed, they are brand new character models. They don't even have the same proportions as the original models, and that means all new animations. Even if they look the same as the old ones, they have been remade for these remade character models. But we've barely even scratched the surface of what we can plainly see in the trailer. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is obviously running in a new engine, almost certainly an iteration of Torn of the Golden Countries engine, given the similarities, especially with the new character models. Torna's engine is an iteration of the one used in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with a new rendering engine that made improvements over its predecessor, and the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 engine was based on the one used for Xenoblade Chronicles X. X's engine was created from the ground up for the Wii U, which had a different hardware architecture to the Wii. The original Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii is running in a completely different engine that Monolith Soft deemed not suitable for HD game development. There is no simple remaster going on with the Definitive Edition. We are talking about remaking the game in a new engine on a new platform with new architecture, and you can get a sense for just how much is being remade by looking at all the evidence in the trailer. You should go and watch this full comparison video by Paradigm and Erico. It's amazingly synced and put together. I'll have a link in a pinned comment below, but I'm going to focus on just a few different frames. One thing I've heard about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is that it's only a remaster because all they've done is update the character models and the environments are the same. No? Like, look at this. Look at how much more geometry there is. Look at the cliffs in the back. They aren't even the same shape. Look at the pillars, the rocks, the shapes, the textures, the grass. They aren't even the same trees. Things are actually circles now instead of hexagons. There's tons more vegetation. The water is different. The environments have more geometry, more polygons, more detail, more depth. This doesn't happen by just bumping up the resolution or slapping a new texture on it. All of this has been remade. Then, of course, the trailer also teased an entirely new explorable area, the Biona Shoulder, and a new Monado form, which in all likelihood also means they are adding more story and at least one new gameplay mechanic. They didn't even show us the HUD or user interface in the trailer because that probably wasn't done being remade yet. This is the kind of project the word remake was made for, but if you insist on calling it a remaster, despite all evidence to the contrary, you should at least stop using that label to imply that this is a simple undertaking or a small project. This is a big project that a lot of time and effort is being put into. In many respects, what they are doing on a developmental level is making a new game. So no more of this wondering why it's taking so long or why it isn't out yet. They aren't taking a game and slapping a coat of paint on it. They're remaking a game, in every sense of that word. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.